5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Hey guys, we are Sean and Christy. This is Long Honeymoon coming to you with a very special Super Bowl pregame. We're bringing in Mr. Super himself, Super Airstream expert, Vinnie Lamica, California.
Touchdown.
Yay.
Who needs the Super Bowl when you got Vinnie?
Got all that stuff, but okay. Well, thank you.
Of course, from time to time, we like to check in with our dear friend Vinnie Lamica at Vinnie's North Bay Airstream Repair in Wilton, California, to ask him all sorts of questions. He is a walking encyclopedia of answers for all things Airstream. And I know a lot of you have a lot of questions always for him.
We'll do some shout outs real quick while we're getting going. We've got Mike from Johnson City, Tennessee, Joyce in South Carolina.
There's Rick Kessler. Hey, Rick.
Hi,
always
Rick.
Good to see you.
Let's see. Linda's in Ohio, Thomas in California. Jim Pratt is taking down the trolls in Canada. And
Jim will be taking down the trolls until the Super Bowl pregame starts.
Right.
And then he's checking
out. Because I think his wife
so.
is a big Super Bowl or big NFL fan. So we might lose him at some point, but that's okay.
So if any of you have specific questions for Vinnie, please post them. We'll be scanning your comments and presenting those to Vinnie. But first of all, I wanted to talk about the ceramic coating because that was really our big upgrade that we did when we were at Vinnie's last fall. And I've gotten a lot of questions. We posted a video about a month ago about it, and people send me questions asking about details about the ceramic. And I thought, well, why don't we really ask the expert, Vinnie Lamica, because Vinnie really helped to develop that ceramic formula that works so well with Airstreams. Isn't that right?
Yeah, the ceramic has been a lot of fun to work with. And the response has been overwhelming. So we've been busy on this end. That's for sure.
John says hello from Dublin, Ireland. Dan Dubay says,
Dan.
hey, it's always good to see you, Dan.
Dan's been a subscriber for a long time.
Rick says hello Madison from California. Thomas says, can we ceramic coat a fiberglass trailer? I knew that a lot of people out there with fiberglass trailers would be interested in learning if that's possible. I mean, I guess that's something where they might talk to Brian.
Yeah, the question has come up, and they certainly can. It can go over a gel coat. It can go over fiberglass. Of course, when we do the Airstreams, we do the windows. We do the plastic lenses. We do the bright chrome trim, which is kind of a foil. So this application works well with all of that. I think if it was a gel coat, there's another application that we would probably use, but we reached out to the manufacturer and they have a suggestion for that. So yes, all of that can be coated.
Cool.
Yeah, we really were fascinated to see when we did our first big cleansing of our Airstream after getting the ceramic.
Wash.
We already had accumulated some tree sap on the side, and just the tree sap would just come off.
I mean, it just wiped off.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
So really looking forward to that just from an ongoing maintenance standpoint. Let's see. There's Carrie and Madison.
Ceramic coating is the fill form, and it really creates an airtight seal so that fill form doesn't have a chance to start that process. So if you already have it, we can arrest it. Whatever's there is going to be there with the ceramic over it. So if it's a little gray spot or whatever, at least you've arrested it and we've protected it going forward. So that's kind of a neat feature.
Wow. Percy says hello from Norway.
Wow. Tuning in from Norway.
We're big in Norway.
How cold is it in Norway right now?
Yeah, it's got to be cold.
To know.
And Patrick says hello from Kansas City, the home of the Super Bowl champion Chiefs.
So I know who you're rooting for, Patrick.
Larry asked about the price of ceramic coating a 30-foot fiberglass trailer. How do you determine price on these different, because every trailer is different. I'm sure it has to do with the amount of time, because the guys go through it in multiple passes, right, and the amount of product. So I guess that's something that Brian figures out.
Yeah, we've come up with a formula so that it's still a value for the customer. And, the product is just so expensive and you use so much of it on an Airstream. And then you have to figure in the man hours. You know, it's about a 5-day process, but there's 3 full days on the trailer and 2 guys. So it adds up quickly, but a 25 foot is around $4,000. So
Rick asked if ceramic coating keep the mice out. I don't think so.
Yeah, there's some good questions.
Yeah.
There and there.
All right. Jim Pratt says, my question is about non-Airstreams. What are the best things we can do to prevent water damage? And yes, we saw some photos that Jim posted a few weeks ago. There are some of our Canadian friends who may have encountered some water damage in their trailers. And that can be pretty expensive, like thousands of dollars. And all it could be a simple, small seal gets penetrated by water. So what are things that people can do to help prevent water damage?
Well, I would start with an inspection.
Mm-hmm.
Often the other brands use a rubber roof, which is a big sheet of a rubber type protective mat over the plywood, and that weathers over time and cracks and shrinks and separates. You'll see sometimes going down the freeway, there's a big bubble on the front of the fifth wheel. Have you ever seen that? Where the roof is actually separating from the surface it's laying on, because it's not glued down, it's just laid down, and that starts to fatigue and stretch. So really an inspection is the best thing. But if I owned that trailer, I would leave it, I would park it someplace under cover to where the sun just isn't beating down on it. And if it does have a leak, at least the rain can't get into it, because often the walls are stick frame, you know, wood type product, and once moisture gets in there, it's trapped and it just rots away everything. So
yeah, if you'll recall,
but they're still subject to that.
Don't feel too bad, Jim, because the first time we met Vinnie, if it's in the video, we had a lot of water intrusion in our trailer. Also, we were coming back from Alaska,
where we had just been dumped on with water. I mean, we had been in just a total deluge, and we were feeling the effects of that.
And our carpet was soaked through. So that's when we ripped up all the carpet in our trailer and redid it.
But that was from a plumbing leak, not from a leak in the ceiling.
But we also had leaks.
But we did have a leak
seals
in the ceiling as well.
Some people have asked about the lifespan of the ceramic coat. I just wanted to make the point. It's a permanent lifespan, right?
It's a permanent coating. To remove it, you need to buff it with a very aggressive polish process or sand it off.
Now, here's a good question that goes to the water intrusion issue. Does the ceramic go over the seals and offer any protection?
So we don't coat the roof.
Right.
And we coat the roof mainly because of the serviceability of sealing that roof down the road. And I think it would be negligent to apply the ceramic coating to the white roof on an Airstream. We're talking Airstream right now. And then try to get the Dicor or something to stick to the ceramic coating down the road. I think that would be a disservice to the customer, whereas it's going to probably create leaks over time just because you can't notice it.
So the ceramic, just to answer some people's questions, it doesn't really, it's hydrophobic, but it doesn't form a seal against water exactly, right? Right.
Well, you know, for example, along
the seams meet.
The edges were like on this panel here, where 2 panels lay against each other and they're tight. We seal that seam pretty aggressively. So yeah, it does.
So that does help.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, you know, but if you have a rubber seal or something that's supposed to act as a seal, well, that's the actual seal, not the ceramic. I mean, there might be a little extra help with the ceramic, but in most cases we depend on the roof seals and all that stuff to do their job.
Right.
There's somebody asking about tires. Back up.
Okay. This nomadic idea asked, do you think older Airstreams are built better than the new ones today?
Don't put any on the spot or anything.
That's a loaded question.
You know, there's something about an older Airstream, and if there's somebody out there that owns one, they'll agree. Just with the design of the roof being a little more rounded and seamed panels, the way it went together, you just have less leaks. You can have a trailer that's 30 years old, and and gut it, and there really isn't any evidence of leakage unless it was coming through a vent or something that was just neglected. On the new ones, the roof's a little flatter, and there's just areas of opportunity for water to get in, and you just need to keep after it. 5 years is kind of that magic number. I can show you an example on this trailer behind me if you want to see what it is we're talking about with roof reseals.
Sure.
Okay.
And, some people have asked about the ceramic, whether it would help against hail damage.
No.
Now, I know that there's certain types of hail. If it's softball size hail, there's nothing that would help. But if it was like small hailstones, maybe.
The ceramic is flexible. So even though it's a glass type product, it has some flex to it. You know, the whole trailer is flexing as it goes down the road. So if it was brittle, it would crack. So it is flexible. I think hail could flex it and it's going to help against that.
So this guy Ronald was just asking, will the coating crack or degrade as you go down the road, hitting bumps and that sort of thing? Like when the trailer's flexing, will it have long-term effects? No.
No.
It'll move with the metal.
Wow, that's awesome.
Linda asked about any specific issues you've seen with Dexter axles. Well, you've seen them with ours. We had an issue with our axle being bent.
They have a shelf life, you know. Yeah. By the way it's designed with the 4 rubber rods slid in a tube where you have an axle shaft in between them. You start to load it, it flexes those rubber rods. And over time, those rubber rods get hard and lose their elasticity, and the trailer kind of squats. And when that happens, now you've got somewhat of a rough ride, and you're starting to beat up your cabinetry and pop more rivets and that kind of stuff. So, you know, if I'm restoring an older trailer, and so what do we call older now? I'm saying, you know, if I'm going to do a restoration on a 95, well, that's getting up there now. I'd probably throw new axles in it, just so everything you do inside has a more comfortable ride.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Somebody else was asking about the ceramic coating, the lifespan of it. Is it something where it's going to last for 20 years or the life of your trailer, or is it something that's going to have to be redone at some point in time?
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Ryan and I were just talking about this, and when you say permanent, notice we don't say lifetime, but we do say it's permanent coating. So there's a lot of things that can happen to a travel trailer, and you know, folks take care of them in different ways. If you use the same dirty water and it's sandy and gravelly inside there, and you keep scratching it and washing it, you know, you might get some marring in the surface, and it might not look the way it was, but it's still there, but it might not have the luster it once had. So I would say it just needs to be inspected. So when the trailers come in for service, if it's had ceramic coating on it, I mean, the guys are always here anyway, we're going to look over it for scratches or damage or something that may have penetrated that ceramic surface. And that's when we could take care of it. You're going to know if you rub up against the fence and it's something sharp and you've damaged the skin. You don't care so much about the crease, but you just worry about the ceramic protection. That might be something worth giving us a call.
Right. I want to acknowledge Lorraine Graves, who said she gave us a very nice super chat and said, thanks for telling us about Vinnie. We've learned so much from you.
Thank you, Lorraine. We appreciate that very much.
We always learn a lot from Vinnie. We really thank Vinnie for joining us today. Mary said she has also learned a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, she's gonna.
We got 2 hands on 1 mouse over here.
There it is, right there.
All right.
There's Lorraine.
Yeah, there's Lorraine. Thank you, Lorraine.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. We appreciate that very much.
Appreciate it very much.
Let's see. Got some.
Hi from Crestview.
Larry is in Crestview and Birmingham, so he's between the two. Eastland, Texas. Hi, Mark. Somebody's asking about the ceramic seal being a DIY project that they've seen other products on the market. So you want to talk about the difference between what you guys do versus the home kits?
Right. You know, there's nothing wrong with the home kit. It's certainly cheaper and it does add a layer of protection, but it's not the same thing that we use. We use more of an industrial grade material. The application process is much different. The prep is critical. and that's what gives it that permanent coating. Whereas the spray-ons still have great hydrophobic properties. It's something you can do on your car, but Airstream's a lot of work. You're up and down a ladder for a few days.
Yeah.
So you're putting it on your Toyota Tacoma, and you can do it every few months, every 6 months or something. You live in a pretty rough area on the East Coast. It's a great idea if you don't want to actually do a full professional ceramic coating. But that's gonna come off in time, and it's gonna need to be renewed. Whereas this trailer is gonna start here, and it's gonna go back to Florida, and they're not gonna be around us for a while. So, or if ever. So we want to make sure that we kind of done overkill. And I mean, there's a lot of ways we could have cut the cost, but we've just refused, and we're sticking with the best product, and the company is partnering with us. And you know, it's expensive. The product's expensive for us to buy. Like I say, there's other options, and maybe some of the shops are going to use those just to make it a little more appealing to clients. But it's not the same product we're using.
Yeah, and after seeing you guys work, I mean, and all the team work on
everything
the trailer
that goes into it, you understand the cost, because it really is just an in-depth
I mean, you're talking
process.
about two guys. This is what they do. It's their field of expertise. They're doing it every day. They know exactly what to do, going all around this, 27-foot long trailer in multiple passes, first doing all the buffing. And I think our trailer ended up being a great sort of case study, showcasing kind of what can be done.
Absolutely.
And bring even an older trailer back to life. But that whole polishing process is a couple of days, right? Or is a day or two.
Yeah.
Like just polishing and prepping. Then they come through with the ceramic in multiple passes and like 3 different coats.
Correct.
And again, Dan Dubé is asking what's the difference in the product you're using in the spray bottle stuff. And I think it just goes back to you guys are using an industrial grade product. Like the military uses it on planes, right? Yeah. And it's something that is permanent. And the stuff that you're using in that spray bottle, you're going to have to do every 6 months or so.
Sure. And you even worked with the manufacturer to develop it. So.
Yeah. And it's not as thick of a coating. So it's not going to give you the same level of protection. So.
And again, overkill, we're doing 3 layers of it.
Right. Exactly.
Listen, here's Ralph says, on my 2010 Flying Cloud, I have what appears to be corrosion in several places where metal makes contact with the aluminum. And that's exactly the problem that we had in places on our Airstream when dissimilar metals touch aluminum, that filiform corrosion can exist.
Correct.
And so what can be done to clean that up? I mean, you guys kind of cleaned up some of it on our trailer where possible.
Right. When it's flaky and chalky, we use our favorite bone tool and Bow Shield or Corrosion X to kind of arrest it. If it's really bad, you can use a pressure washer and just kind of blow all that stuff off of there, and then start tackling it and neutralizing it with Corrosion X. Let it sit there so that we know that it's completely arrested. And then it's got to get cleaned and dried and prepped, and there's final prep for it, because now you've got that, that real porous, chalky aluminum. It's got to be a good surface to adhere to, and so it's a little tricky. But once it's sealed, it's got good adhesion.
Right, and that is a benefit of the ceramic. It stops that filiform corrosion from getting worse. Right. I mean,
it stops it. It's still going to be, but it stops it.
I want to give a shout out to Mach 5. Thank you for the super chat.
Hey guys.
It's always good to see you. Who says, hello, Christy, Sean, and Vinny, the man from New Orleans. After years of planning, we're finally getting our 2021 Flagstaff Micro Light this Friday, February 12th. Awesome. So
thank you for using our Amazon link. We appreciate that so much.
Yep.
It doesn't cost you anything, and we earn a commission. So that's an easy way to support our channel.
Yeah, always appreciate you being here. And,
he always gives us a good shout out and says hi. And I'm really sad that Mardi Gras isn't really happening right now in New Orleans. I know you guys are bummed.
Yeah, we love New Orleans, and we'll get together with you guys someday in New Orleans. I can guarantee you.
Yeah.
Hopefully later this year.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Somebody was asking a question about tires, but I don't see where they went.
Let's see. Recommend tires.
Aha.
Not so much brands, but specific tires for trailer or light truck tire. Don't want the China bomb.
Yeah.
So we don't know what kind of trailer Mark has, so that probably will make a difference in recommendation. But what do you totally recommend for people that have Airstreams tire-wise?
Well, I mean, we did a fun video on that recently, but you know, I'm a fan of the light truck tire. Just getting the pressure right on that tire to give you the right ride for whatever size trailer it is you're talking about. But if you don't want to spend that route, that kind of money on a 16-inch wheel, you can go with the Goodyear Endurance, and that's a 225 75 15. It's a made in the USA. It's a tire that can go up to 80 psi, and so
Jeffrey actually asked about that specific tire. He said he's putting that.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go.
Okay.
He also wants to know how often the spare tire should be replaced. I think that's a good question.
Yeah, a lot of times those spare tires, I mean, hopefully they sit there and are never used, right? But then they can sit there for 5 or 10 years.
Right. I've been replacing that spare with a 16-inch when I do the Michelins, and that way, if there's a little tire wear, something going on, we can rotate in that spare and kind of keep even distribution on tire wear. But you could put just four tires, and then keep an eye on your spare. Really, the spare is just going to take you someplace that you can get your other tire fixed, and circumference doesn't really make it doesn't have an impact because there's no drivetrain, there's no axles that are rotating at the same speed, nothing like a car, which would be devastating for the drivetrain. So yeah, you could use a 15 on a 16, or change that tire every 10 years probably.
Right.
So should you just be looking for like signs of age, like cracking or that sort of thing?
It's tough because those tires look perfect after even 15 years. They look great, but it's so old. I mean, the valve stem, you hate to put it on. It's 110 degrees. You depend on it and it blows out because it's like, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't sign up for this.
Now, Lynn wants us to talk about the roof checking, which we will do in a minute because I think maybe you had some stuff you could show us over there. But I have this question from Kent, who has a 25-foot flying cloud. And he says his heater shuts down almost every other day. Once I open the panel and clean off the sail, it works again.
He said all it takes is a minuscule particle to shut it down.
Have you ever heard of that before?
Yeah. So I assume we're talking about an Atwood furnace and an Airstream. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
I think so.
It's got a 25-foot flying cloud.
Yeah. So the way they manage the flame control in that unit is there's a sail switch that once that squirrel cage starts to build up speed, it activates the sail switch to say, hey, we've got airflow, and you need airflow before you light off that burner, right? Otherwise you'd get like an explosion in that area. So then the gas valve opens, the igniter starts, and the whole sequence takes off from there. So if he's having, maybe they have a dog or something, anything can get caught in the sail switch. Maybe you have a sail switch that's just starting to go out. And sometimes it'll move a little bit, but there's a bad spot in the switch. So even though it's moved to its position, which is on, but there might be a bad contact in there, and then it shuts it off. As soon as it doesn't see that sail switch, it aborts the whole operation. So I would replace it as my first attempt. But on that unit, there's also a code that'll give you a little flashing LED light in there that when it does shut down, leave it on and go around and see if it's a code 1, 2, or 3, and it gives you a little nomenclature as to what the fault may be.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we had something similar happen with our heater several years ago, if you'll recall, and you could sort of
Ours
rebuild.
Was like the burner or something went out. Does that make sense? Am I saying that right?
Could be.
Vinny's like, no, that's not what it was.
I don't remember fixing it, so I don't know. You
didn't fix it. It happened in Wyoming, and so we had to get fixed there. It was like 28 degrees outside, so it was of dire importance.
I thought this is an interesting question from Neil Campbell. It says, recently I've become ADA reliant. Can an Airstream accommodate a wheelchair entrance and a bath? Have you ever seen that done in an Airstream?
Man, look at the things we've seen done in Airstreams. They're amazing what people can do.
Yeah, fair point.
I'm not in that area, but folks are putting in opening hatches on the sides and rear hatches, kinds of stuff. Yeah, anything can be done.
There was an Airstream toy hauler at one point. You remember
Yeah.
that the factory produced?
Yeah, the Pan America.
To answer Neil's question, I think yes, it can be done. The question is, how much do you want to spend on it? So,
Right.
We have a friend who's building a house one time. He said his builder told him, "Money is the answer. What is the question?"
Yeah,
I think that sums up
that's
the
true.
problem here. Money is the answer. What's the question? So
He's
So
right.
back to tires for a minute. Will asked, do you often rotate your trailer tires?
and do you rotate the spare or spares onto the road or not?
Oh, it's a personal choice, I think. I don't think there's a requirement for it. I mean, in the case of yours, I think we rotated that tire just to see, because you have an axle issue. You never.
Yeah.
What is the outcome of that? I'm not sure. Did you guys check that when you got back to
Always
Alabama?
rotate our trailer tires at least once every 8 years.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. John says I always. He
I
starts.
always do that.
That is the key phrase that knows he's lying now. His nose is growing, getting longer and longer.
I've checked my tire pressures 3 times today already.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not true.
So the answer to that question, Vinny, is no. We have not.
but we did
inspected
rotate
that
ours.
since we arrived home.
Hey, David from Alaska.
Vinny's not shocked by that, by the way.
I want to give a shout out to
Ronald.
Ronald. Thanks for the super chat. Says he plans to replace his axles in his
2005 30
30-foot
foot
classic.
classic.
He's considering a 2-inch lift. What do you think about a lift kit on an Airstream?
Yes or no? I know Vinny's answer on this.
Yeah, no, it's no problem. I mean, Airstream doesn't recommend it. I do a lot of them. I know Ronnie Dennis does them as well. I won't modify anything. If it fits, it fits. If there's modification necessary, it's just not one that's possible in my book, but others do modify them or build them. My clients say it really doesn't adversely affect the way it handles. I think sometimes it's necessary. I know we just did one on a 23 foot, and the waste tank, the waste outlet is so low already on that trailer that sometimes they get to a campground and they can't, evacuate the tanks because it's so low and won't go high enough to go down the drain. So or a steep driveway or whatever your situation is. If you need to, you need to. But I wouldn't just do it. I would do the 16-inch wheels and get that extra nearly an inch before I would do the lift. But it's all dependent on your situation.
The only downside to the lift kit that I can see that would affect us on an ongoing basis is stepping into our trailer without the step down. Like, in other words, coming from the ground, stepping into the trailer.
Because a lot of times we don't put our step out. Like if we're going in and out when we're at a gas station, we're just going in to use the bathroom, or we're stopping for groceries and we're just loading up the fridge or whatever. We don't pull the step out and all that kind of stuff. We just step in. So if you add 2 or 3 inches, it gets to be it's already a pretty tall step. Pretty tough.
Something to think about. We have muscle memory, and I tell folks that on the Bambi, for example, that maybe has the 1 step, it's like you're used to kind of in a hurry and you step out there, and now it's another 3 inches. That's going to be shocking when you
It's a big step.
Really is.
Matt suggests doing a 10-inch lift kit with 42-inch tires.
Oh, I have the Bruder here again. So that's
maybe some chrome spinners. Yeah.
I
think that could be fun. Let's see. What do you think about Pro Pride hitches? That's another one of those loaded questions.
Yeah. Sean's probably listening, waiting for me to respond. I know Ronnie just put one on his. I think where, again, it's personal preference. The geometry of that hitch doesn't allow sway. I mean, they've figured that out. And if you have concerns about sway and it's easy for you to hitch up and operate, then certainly it does add some tongue weight, but there's certainly benefits to it. I think maybe in some cases it's probably overkill for the application, but it's personal preference.
I think something you really need to think about before you get one is what kind of campsites you typically camp in, because we camp in a lot of kind of funky campsites, especially in national parks, because they tend to be smaller campsites because they were mostly built back in the 40s or 50s, So you're at a strange angle, or it's not this perfectly level big wide site that you're backing into. And so when you're in a smaller campground, you kind of have to maneuver at sharper angles a lot of times. So think about that before you sign up for one of those, because I think hitching that at an angle can be tough.
It can be a little challenging.
Yeah.
Hogan says they did a solar install and moved the batteries inside the trailer. So now they have those empty battery boxes behind the propane tanks. What's the best use for those? We use ours for smuggling. Smuggling illicit substances across the border.
Great.
If you're going into Canada, that you put all your guns in there. Just kidding.
Next time we go to Canada, we're gonna be like,
yeah, we're gonna get
searched.
like strip searched.
Like,
yeah, you're on the no entry list.
I'm gonna be like, I don't know this man.
No, we do have these 2 empty battery boxes in the front of our trailer. The problem is they're keyed, and it's just like,
well, one of ours was sealed off,
in there?
And we did away with the box inside.
Yeah, but
the other one, we could put something in there, I guess. I don't know what.
Maybe referring to the battery box that's right behind the propane tanks that goes down. And
that's different than ours.
Yeah, that's a good. Yours, the classics all have the battery boxes with the individual doors, but the say like Flying Cloud or whatever International has it below, and that's a good place for your wheel chocks. Something that can get wet, you know, just a good storage place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important that you said something that can get wet, because those boxes are not watertight. So
just like the bumper.
Whatever you put in there is going to get wet.
Right.
John is puzzled that I'm putting spinning wheels on our Airstream.
It's just a joke, John.
Hey, Mary in Tahoe. And hello, Mike in Alberta.
Somebody's asking if that's your original Tilly hat.
You know, actually, this is my second Tilly hat. The first one was bent while riding a camel in the Sahara Desert in Morocco.
Yeah, that's a darn good story to tell, isn't it?
And to Tilly's credit, I contacted Tilly and I said, you know, my hat, I've loved this hat. And sadly,
brim, this wire that goes through the
so it looked really goofy. So they sent me a
replaced
replacement. So I thought
free.
that was pretty amazing.
So it does have that lifetime warranty, so it's worth it. Kip in San Antonio, hi there. Got some folks in Alberta tuning in. Hi Jeffrey or John Chalker.
Several people have chimed in, by the way, and said they love their Pro Pride hitches. So, you know, some people
talk to people that have one, and you know, maybe if you know somebody that's got one, give it a try hitching, see what you think.
Ask Remy. I see Ask Remy on our YouTube channel quite frequently. He says, would you rather
be
in
a member?
The heat? Yes, he's a member.
Thank you for being a member.
Would you rather be in the heat of Florida with humidity or the dry heat of the West? My honest answer is the dry heat. I kind of like that, the dry heat of the West. And so like when it gets really hot in the South, usually in the summer, that's when you might find us out in Montana or in even Arizona.
But I would say if it's really hot, either one is bad, the dry heat or the humid heat. If it's like getting close to 100, it's bad either way. So we usually, you know, scoot out of town if the temperature is getting to that point. We're moving on to cooler weather.
Philip asked a timely question, which we're going to answer in more detail in the future. Are you guys going to upgrade to a newer Airstream, one with some of the new bells and whistles? Well, the thing is, we have some of the new bells and whistles. We have the nice ceramic coating now, and we have the nice solar system set up. So
16-inch wheels.
So I think that's a great thing about Airstreams is you can continually upgrade your existing Airstream
rather than
make
having
it better.
to like go buy a whole brand new unit.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I mean, because Airstreams I do think are built for that long-term life. You know, you hear, I think it used to be 80% of all Airstreams built are still in use or on the road. I think that number's dropped maybe to 70% at this point. But
speaking of upgrades, Roger asked Vinnie a great question about lithium batteries. Even if they don't do a lot of boondocking, does it make sense to switch to lithium batteries? And I think this would apply maybe to people even who don't even go with the big solar package. Like maybe you don't have a 3,000 watt inverter and you don't have a dozen solar panels on your roof. What if you just switch your lead acid batteries to lithium? Vinnie, does that make sense? And do you do that?
Yeah, of course. It makes sense because you get that 13.2 volts all the way to the last 5%, right? So when your batteries go down to 50% on lead acid, and the fan starts going slow, and the lights dim, but you still kind of more time with it. Well, the lithium, it definitely gives you more time at better performance, but they need to be charged up. So that's going to be your generator. That's going to be your shore power. I mean, you should be easily be able to have a weekend with a couple Battleborns and using some conservation. Can't go crazy, and just a great experience. So yeah, it's plus at 31 pounds a piece versus say
Weight
a
savings,
55 pounds a piece. So you got two of those. It cuts down on weight.
And the longevity, those have the lithium have about a 10-year lifespan, at least warranted.
Yeah, 10 years, they're still good for about 80%. So it's not like you have to throw it away.
Yeah.
Do you have to do any rewiring of an Airstream? Like if you're switching into the lithium from lead acid?
Yeah, you do. I bring them inside the coach. They like to be comfortable like us. They don't want to work in freezing temperatures. And so I like to bring them inside. So we have to rewire, bring the wires back into the coach. You need a battery management system, BMV, so that you can see what the state of charge is. You need some kind of charger. That I use the Boondocker, which allows you to charge it at a higher rate, fixed voltage. So there are a few things you need to do to upgrade your batteries. You can't just buy the batteries and plug them in. So.
Right. But I would think if you're interested in solar, that would make sense to be your first upgrade in a way.
Yeah.
Like you could just
if you're not ready to make the commitment to, add the panels and buy the inverter and all that kind of stuff with the batteries.
Because they're good for 10 years, it's like.
Right. So let your battery installer know that you may have plans to do that in the future. And that way you can configure the batteries in such a way you're not undoing work that you paid for already to add those additional components. Just strategize it.
Okay, good deal.
Here's a question from David about awnings. Is it worth getting awnings added and retrofitted on the roadside and rear windows? And I know that you do some of that in your shop, because I think you were doing that to a trailer when we were there last fall, right?
Right. No, it's nice. I mean, having that little awning on the street side allows some sun protection off the windows, keeps it a little cooler inside, also helps the fridge if it's on that side. It makes a big difference, surprisingly. And the one in the back kind of keeps the glare off. I don't know, the back is as important, but an awning package is a nice upgrade.
I have a question about those additional awnings, those little small awnings. Are they as susceptible to being ripped off as the big one? Like, do you have to be as
in a windstorm?
In a windstorm, do you have to be as
they
concerned about that? Or if it's raining, do you have to be as concerned about, tilting them?
So they're at such an angle that the rear one, the rain's not going to hurt it. The street side one is not going to hurt it. But, if that kind of inclement weather's happening, maybe, the winds are going to come up. We had winds here the other day that were upwards of 60 miles an hour. I lost a pine tree, my favorite one, and people lost and all kinds of stuff. So
you lost some of your inflatable pool toys, didn't you?
Yeah, I went across the street. It's on the way out. But, I would, if you
inflatable flamingo
things in. Yeah.
Well, we were glad that you guys didn't have any damage to your house or your shop.
Yeah,
that you guys were safe.
Hello, Cesar. This is hello, chicos. Cesar from Connecticut. Thank you.
Thanks. Denise, thanks for being a member.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being a member. We appreciate that. Sharon wants to know how we get credit for your purchases on Amazon. So you have to start your shopping experience at our storefront, which you can find at amazon.com/shop/longlonghoneymoon. When you go to that page, you will see our faces, picture of our camper, and you can buy anything that Amazon sells once you get to that storefront. It doesn't have to be something listed in our store. You can just use the search bar at the top, search, type it in, add it to your cart, buy it, and we get the credit. So as long as you start your shopping experience on our storefront, we will get credit for your purchase. So we appreciate that.
Camping Allen asked if Vinnie works on rigs other than Airstreams. The answer is pretty much no. Pretty much. I mean, I've only seen Airstreams, except one time you had some really weird, remember that really weird European trailer, that thing you had? I don't know.
That's the Brooder EXP6. Yeah.
So
That thing's super expensive, right?
So you do work on brooders.
Apparently.
Otherwise,
Vinny's like, that was supposed to be like top secret.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be talking about this, Sean.
But it's all Airstream and really all modern era Airstreams.
Yeah, 2000
right?
and up,
2000
right?
and up.
Yep, 2000 and up. And you know what they were talking about the Airstream, really on a 2003 like you have, it's the same ribs, it's the same sheet metal. It's really the same trailer as what's currently being produced.
Right.
Put a different window in it. You can change it from a classic to a flying cloud. It's the same skeletal structure that's currently, I mean, there may be some little changes with ribs, but it's basically the same trailer on a steel frame, you know, with a supporting floor. So if you want to, I mean, you have to buy a brand new trailer to have the Airstream experience. It's yours is, has a lot of life in it.
Now, one nice thing about the new Airstreams is now they have a composite subfloor that's impervious to water damage, basically, right? So that is one nice upgrade, but that's only for the 2021 trailers, I think.
Yeah, it's new.
So Kenneth says he has a 2018 Classic. Can the Aldi control unit be moved from underneath the sink to somewhere else in the coach? Or is it
super expensive to do so?
To move an Aldi control unit?
About the Aldi unit itself, like the whole tank assembly and all of that with the burner.
I would say the control unit. So
if he's talking about the Aldi panel, I suppose so, because that's just, I'm not sure why you would want to.
All right. Doug asks your thoughts on the new 12-volt refrigerator. He has a 2012 Rockwood 34-footer, but what do you think about the new refrigerators, the 12-volt?
Well, it's an alternative to propane, and people worry about propane. I personally don't, but it also allows you to have, for example, in one of the all-electric vans, Pleasureway or something like that, the Road Trek has an E-Trek van that has that setup in it. So you don't have to have propane on board. I think there's a need for it, a use for it, certainly in boats and things like that, to where propane's heavy and would go down to the hull, and that could be a bad thing. Yeah, you're just going to have to be mindful of your voltage, right? What's going on with those batteries might be a good time for lithium.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think about all the times that we camp and we are dry camping somewhere and running low on our battery power. And if we were relying on our batteries to also power our fridge,
we'd have to run a generator.
Be nervous about that, because we would end up having to run a generator or having to, you know, go find shore power somewhere.
Yeah, it's the last. So the good news is that refrigerator will still work, you know, at 11 volts when virtually everything else is dead. It just has that little control panel. It keeps the gas valve open. So they know it's important that if the batteries went low and your fridge shuts off, that's going to be pretty disappointing. So they took it as low as they could. But yeah, you got to be mindful of power.
Stan says he's new to Airstream. How do you protect those beautiful front windows from road debris? Well, there's actually windows behind windows, right?
Yeah.
So like if you look in front of an Airstream, yeah.
Maybe he's talking about the Lexan covers over the window itself. It's a protection. I mean, it's a sacrificial piece.
Right.
It's like the stainless segment protectors are. It just protects from breaking that very expensive panoramic glass. But yeah, things do happen. I think if you had a star in it, you could take a very small drill bit and drill at the end of the crack to keep it from spreading, and just know that, you know, at some point you're going to have to replace that. They're not cheap, but they're a lot cheaper than that glass window is.
Yeah.
Someone wants to know if you have any more 33-foot rear bedroom classics for sale.
No, not at this time.
Let's see. Hanway wants to know what we think about the base camp. I think they're cool. I mean, we haven't camped in one ourselves. Have you ever serviced a base camp?
I have, yes. I've done a solar install. They're pretty rare, so I don't see many of them. I try just to stick to the traditional trailer. I don't work on the nest. I don't work on the vans, and I don't see very many of the base camps.
Yeah, I think it's really just personal preference, like what kind of
Yeah.
size you're looking for. You know, if you need a standalone bathroom, which I think some of the base camps do have a standalone bathroom now.
The
You
new
know,
one is large. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's just personal preference.
So give a shout out to Alan. We actually
yeah.
met Alan, you'll recall, when we were in
Yes.
Colorado last year.
Yep. Hi, Alan.
One of those random meetups on the side of the road.
On the side of the road.
Fun.
That's right.
Let's see. I think we answered that question about the quality of Airstreams. In some way, the quality of the Airstreams are probably pretty similar, you know, like through the years, because the basic construction of an Airstream hasn't changed a whole lot in the last several decades.
No, but I think something you need to know if you're going to buy a brand new Airstream or any RV is it's not like buying a brand new car. It's not going to be perfect like a car. It's going to have all of these flaws because they really are handmade, and Airstreams especially are really handmade. And so you've got all those little flaws in the camper. So you are going to have a punch list of things that you need to have fixed when you pick up a new camper. So just be aware that when you pick up a brand new camper, you're not going to get it and then just go on your trip and everything's going to be hunky-dory and perfect. You're going to have a list of things that need to be addressed. So just know that in advance and be prepared for that.
Yep. It's so different than the automobile industry. You know, when I worked for Mercedes, when the car leaves the factory, it goes through a cobblestone test. It goes through a little high-speed test. It goes through a slalom. So they do different things with the car for squeak, rattle, and vibration. That's not going to happen with the Airstream. You're going to get to do that.
With Airstream, you are the testing.
You are the test. And I will say, I've read from several people that if you can have things fixed at your dealership when you pick up, it's much different than if you pick it up and drive it away and then have to bring it back to have things fixed. Have you heard that, Vinnie?
That's true. That's the best time.
Yeah. So if you can stay at your dealership for a couple of days, if they have a place where you can park, stick around so that they can fix it right then, because it's a much easier process than
get back in. That makes sense.
Time to have them fix it right then before you pick it up.
Yeah.
So Diane asks, is there a reason why you don't see a satellite dish installed on the roof of an Airstream? I mean,
we do.
Yeah, people do that.
Well, maybe they don't know what they look like, because now the new ones look sort of like a little white round disc, right? Is that a satellite?
HD TV, but a satellite's going to be a white dome, like the King Dome, or
right.
Others are installing the actual dish that lifts up and can twist. Technology is changing so much. I mean, you could really use your phone and a smart TV, and you can watch
it.
I mean, that's what we use. So
it's like, I think these days you almost don't need the satellite dish.
Yeah,
you need a good cell phone and a good cell plan.
Right.
Let's see. Highwayman says, we've been RVing for 12 years with our two girls. Would love to buy our first Airstream. Said they're in their 20s and late teens. What year and model comes to mind for us? Any particular year or model? I mean,
I would say any of the 30-foot bunk houses, because everybody would have their own bed that doesn't have to be made from like a couch being folded out or the dinette being converted. That would be my thinking.
It's personal preference, right?
Yeah.
Airstream, I mean, I can maybe think of one that I'm not a fan of, one model, but from 2000 to present, it's really personal preference. There really isn't a lemon,
Yeah, for sure.
The classics have more bells and whistles, but they're heavier. So you need a little bit more to tow them. Yeah. And I guess, what's the lightest weight Airstream these days? I mean, other than a Bambi, but Flying Cloud, they changed model designations.
I was surprised. I had one of my clients here, and he's kind of a DIY guy. And just for fun, we were talking about his tongue weight on his 2018 26U. And I couldn't believe it when we measured the tongue weight on that. It was over 900 pounds. We thought, where's the weight coming from? It's a U-shaped dinette up front and everything. So they are a little bit heavy, and that was a Flying Cloud. So it wasn't like it was a classic, but they've gotten a little bit heavy with some of the nicer accommodations.
me give a shout out to Michael. Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you so much, Michael. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it very much.
He says, I got
nothing.
Just giving us a good LOLOHO. Thanks so much, Michael.
Now, Dwight asked a question, which he says is off topic, but it's not completely off topic. Do you ever travel with the propane turned on? And I will point out, if you look in our archives on the old YouTubes, we've answered this question in some detail.
Yeah.
The honest short answer would be yes, we've occasionally been known to do that. I'm not advising you do that. Like a lot of people.
Our legal disclaimer is we are not telling you to do that.
But it brings up we were talking about propane tanks actually earlier with Vinnie. You know, we're at the time now where our propane tanks need to be recertified. So we'll be doing that in the next week or two.
Yeah.
Propane tanks, they have a lifespan themselves.
Yeah.
They do.
What do you think about traveling with your propane turned on?
Speaking of propane tanks.
Can you see that propane tank? This one actually says on the side of it, it says must be requalified within 10 years of manufacture date. And this one is from 06. So it's probably ready. This is a brand new tank, and it has a date code on it of 03 of 20. So, in fact, this question came up before we started this session, and I asked Christy to run the information. And what did it say? Every 10 years, and then 5 years there.
10 years, and then after that, every 5 years. But I don't know how long you can keep going. Like, I don't know if you can just indefinitely keep getting it recertified, or if there's like finally a cutoff point. I couldn't find that information.
Roy makes a point that if you're powering your refrigerator off propane, that if you're moving down the highway, your refrigerator might lose temperature if you turn it off. I mean, that's what some people would say.
I run with my refrigerator on and have always. The refrigerator has its own safety devices built in. If it flames out or something, it shuts the gas valve off. And it's within a box on the trailer. So you have to follow the rules in your state, but I'm not going to pull up into a gas station and have the trailer right next to the pump and have some guy crazily spraying fuel all over his car with my refrigerator on. I might pull into the first pump and be the guy that has his trailer hanging all the way out blocking the traffic, and then just pull through. But I don't see an issue with it. I can tell you that 90% of the travel trailers going down the road and motorhomes have the refrigerator on. Now, the same respect, I'm not going to have the furnace going. I'm not going to have the water heater going. Much larger differences, much higher amounts of fuel being consumed in a box that's, I wouldn't want that kind of fuel being consumed while I'm traveling down the highway. But the refrigerator, I don't see an issue with it.
I wanted to answer Denise's question because they are thinking of making that switch to lithium batteries to improve their storage capacity. The cost, there's about $1,000 a battery, something like that.
It depends on what battery. I work exclusively with Battleborn. They put a lot of research into their product. The battery management system that's built into it is very robust, and they didn't spare any money on that. So I'm a believer in, that's what I would use in mine. That's what I sell. You can buy cheaper systems, and today it's okay. I don't know what it's going to do in 5 years. And since I mount them under your bed, I don't want to think about that. But just what I do. But there are other options. But yes, it's almost $1,000 a piece, $949 or something like that for a 100 amp hour battery.
But again, they last for 10 years a piece.
And you don't have to do any maintenance to them as far as adding water or any of that kind of stuff like you do with a traditional battery. So that's nice if you're somebody that isn't great with keeping up with your
they're a big upgrade. I want to answer.
Sean always the water.
Yeah, always. He always filled the water.
Always did. I was very meticulous about that. Right after checking my tire pressure, I would usually go over and do the batteries, as part of my morning routine. Charles and Angie from North Carolina say they have a 2019 Globetrotter with 2 skylights. Speaking of skylights, Vinnie does skylights. Does he know skylights? How often should they caulk or seal those skylights? And they just got their LOLOHO t-shirt and hoodie.
Ooh. look at that t-shirt.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for supporting us that way. We appreciate it.
So this again goes to the whole water leak issue and, skylights. How often should they be caulked or sealed?
So the skylight in your Globetrotter sits on a curb and has some VBH tape that basically sticks it to the top of that curb. So there's really nothing to do until the sun beats it up and starts to crack the skylight. And at that time, you just want to replace it. I have been using Maxim Skylight exclusively for years now, and it's really a it's really a lifetime skylight. I have one here, see on the floor here. And what's nice about this skylight, let's see if I can do this. So your skylight, I mean, don't try this with your skylight, but I can stand.
Do not try this at home.
Yeah, our skylight would be.
But I can stand on
going
this.
down the chimney.
Yeah, so this is an aftermarket skylight. It's called by a company called Maxim, that you can replace your factory skylight with one of these. And we have done this upgrade. We did it at Ronnie's, Airstream Nuts and Bolts. But it's a great upgrade because this is like a commercial grade skylight.
Right. These are all aluminum powder coated. You can get them without powder coating. Just have it like an aluminum frame. And there's 3 layers. So you get that UV protection. You also get protection from the heat or protection from the cold. And yeah, it's really durable and sealed well. So I think it's kind of a one and done thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's sort of an urban legend behind that skylight. I don't know if this story is true, but there was an employee at that company, and that company made huge skylights for big box stores like Home Depot, Walmart, all those stores. And the guy at the company, he had an Airstream and just wanted to improve his skylight. And he said, hey, can we just custom build one for Airstreams? And they were like, okay, we can do that. So that's how the whole Maxim Skylight upgrade was born, supposedly.
Right.
We'll give a shout out to Mike.
Thank you, Mike Brooks. We appreciate that. Thanks for being a member, and thanks for the super chat.
Yep. Appreciate it very much.
And we got Mai Tai, Ken, and Brenda.
So Mai Tai. I like a good Mai Tai.
That's a fun name.
Yeah.
Are you like the expert Mai Tai maker? I'm just curious.
Always good to see Todd tuning in from Utah. Says it's 52 degrees.
You guys had a lot of snow lately.
Yeah. I have, great friends in the Salt Lake City area, and they were showing me pictures of snow yesterday.
Somebody commented about how clean your shop is, Vinnie. Vinnie has the cleanest shop. Like, you could sit and just eat your lunch on the floor.
Yeah.
And you'd be fine. You really could. I mean,
we often just eat directly off Vinnie's floor. If you could see
other places we've been to, you'd know. Like, it really is. It's super clean. So
David asked a question that's probably a timely question. Do you feel like reservations are going to be harder to get in 2021? I think the RV industry has gone bonkers in the last 12 months.
Absolutely. I think they're harder to get. COVID campers have taken over. They've come out of the woodworks. They have, spread their little RV wings, and they are just invading everywhere.
I mean, everything is super busy, including Vinnie. Like, are you taking new clients right now, Vinnie?
It's a tough topic. Yeah, I'm currently not taking new clients other than ceramic, because there's a team that does that. The situation is kind of dire. I mean, I'm booked out till June, and it's just me. So I do have a partner that helps me with panel work, but other than that, it's just me. So what I ultimately end up doing is disappointing folks, because they'll send me an email, they'll leave me a message on my voicemail, and I may not get back to them for a couple of days because I have 5 inquiries that day. So I mean, we're blessed to have this kind of work, but my little business model was never designed to handle COVID and the explosive interest in Airstream. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Open it up. Lucky enough to get into Vinnie's shop, your Airstream is being treated by Vinnie himself. Like, there's not like this
handing
huge
it off
team.
to somebody. It's
right.
Vinnie.
You get personal attention from Vinnie.
Yep, absolutely.
Head cook and bottle washer.
Yep. Yeah, somebody's bringing up Grovant Campground and Grand Teton, or really all the Grand Teton campgrounds have now gone with reservations. And unfortunately, that is true. Last year they had just crazy overflow of people every day waiting in line to hopefully get a campsite. I mean, like literally hundreds of people waiting in line. So it just became such a problem for them to manage that they decided to go to reservations this year. We've heard rumor that they held back about 30% of the campsites that are going to be for walk-ups, at least at Grovant. I don't know if that's 100% true or not. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but you can only book 6 months in advance. So like we usually are there in September, so it's not time for us to book a site yet. So just know that whatever your arrival date is, you book it 6 months in advance. So keep an eye on your calendar and book accordingly. So yeah, that's just what they're trying to do to manage the influx of campers. Somebody else commented and said there's only been a 20% increase in RV sales from 2020 over 2019. And that may be true, but there are a lot of people who I think had RVs that only went on a little weekend trip here or there that all of a sudden hitched up their RV and went for like 3 or 4 months.
Well, and plus all the other options, nobody's taking a trip to Europe or Asia or wherever,
right.
But everybody is basically doing.
They're not even going
travel.
to Canada. They've got to stick here in the U.S. for the most part. So everybody's just sort of going out at once. So I
want to give a shout out to Sab and thank you for the super chat.
Thank you so much. Your dog is so cute.
Appreciate the live stream with Vinnie.
We missed that person, so you might want to scroll back up. Mary Eaton.
Oh yeah, thank you, Mary Eaton.
There she is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary, so much.
Appreciate it very much.
We appreciate that. Let's see. Trent says Martha and I enjoyed meeting you in Grovant this year.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much, Trent. We met so many great people in Grovant. It's always a lot of fun to put faces with names as we, get to see people in real life and know that they're actually people behind these names watching these videos.
I want to say Bob asked a timely question. A lot of people have commented about how cold it is, where they're tuning in from. And Bob asked for any guidance on using an Airstream in cold weather to avoid your pipes freezing. So what can be done? I mean, I guess there's certain obvious things that the furnace, the propane furnace in an Airstream helps keep those pipes warm.
It's true. I guess we'd have to ask more questions. Is he talking about, blizzard conditions to where you'd want to skirt all around the perimeter of the trailer? Is it just cold weather camping? One thing that comes up is condensation, especially if it's wet. If it's wet outside, it's probably wet inside just from condensation. That can often be confused with leaks, especially around the rear panoramic windows, front panoramic windows, because that area above it is exposed to the ceiling where you can't see because of those overhead lockers. And you'll get leaks running down those windows, little stains, maybe something that goes down the wall, and they think they have a leak. And it just shows how much condensation can happen inside that trailer when you have it closed up. Trying to stay warm with that propane heater going also creates condensation. So it's nice to have some way to dehumidify that, get that moisture out of the trailer, and that will help. Dehumidification helps with warming up the interior as well, so it's not so damp and cold. But cold weather camping is tricky. It's power and everything.
Yeah, he says they'll be in cold weather, not blizzards. We've done some cold weather camping.
Yeah,
it's fun, but
it's fun until it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I
think our coldest night has been 12 degrees at this point.
Yeah.
Which is pretty darn cold anywhere you are, but it's definitely cold in the Airstream. You do have to keep a window cracked. And Vinnie taught me a really great trick many years ago, because I always thought, okay, we've got to crack a window. So I raised our smallest window that we can open is the window over our kitchen sink. So that's always the window that we crack. So I was opening it to the first little, little groove that you lift the window to. So it ends up cracking the window about that far. And Vinnie was like, no, that's too big of a crack. So basically you open the window and you flip up the little metal, pieces that lock it in place, little latches. And then your window just rests on those. So then the crack is only about that big. And it's just enough to let enough air out without making it like, Arctic winds coming in.
I want to give a shout out.
That really saved us. It made a huge difference.
want to thank Tim Moore for the super sticker.
Yes,
Appreciate
you,
it very
Tim.
much. Tim says, really love all your YouTube videos.
Thank you, Tim. We
So,
appreciate that.
We appreciate it very much.
Let's see.
Maybe you want to go with me on the roof of this trailer and we could take a look.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've crossed the hour mark, so we'll probably start wrapping up pretty soon.
Wrapping up in a minute. For those people that are going to watch the Super Bowl, we aren't really NFL watchers, so we don't really have a dog in the fight, but
we're from Alabama. We watch college football down here.
Yeah. What about you, Vinny? Are you an NFL watcher?
Well, maybe a fair weather guy like that just does the Super Bowl, but I'm often out here in the shop.
Yeah. Vinny's like, I don't have time for your football shenanigans.
Vinny's like, oh, is that on today?
We didn't realize it was on today either until just yesterday, maybe.
Well, this
doesn't care.
Yeah, a lot of people don't care. But
this is a 2021-23 front bed, and it's in here. You may have seen it. It needs some panel repair, so we'll be doing that this week. But this is your typical fantastic vent installation, air conditioner, and then there's a fantastic vent up front. You've got toilet vent back here. So those are things that need to be sealed and checked. Airstream does some sealing along the edge here, and they do, this is a ducted sealing, so it's got the edges back there that are sealed. But on the fantastic vent, you can see where these screw heads are covered with a Dicor type product, and the flange is sealed. So if this was to be exposed to the sun too long or time, and they were to peel off, you could get water collection here and go down the screw and drip inside. You can also get high winds causing this to flutter a little bit, and water can come over this. Even though there is a rubber seal, that can bring some water in, moisture during high winds. So
ours actually, ours blew off one time. I think we had cracked it open. We had only owned our trailer probably a month.
Yeah, this is our first trip. It was our honeymoon trip.
And it ripped it completely off the trailer.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
It can happen. Those are areas that can leak. Also, this vent has a flange here, and there's screws that hold this on. You can see the edge right there that is exposed already. It's not leaking, but it's just something that needs attention. So this trailer is brand new, and
So it's brand new, and it's already needing spots that need to be resealed, huh?
Well, you see that?
Yeah.
So there's always possibilities for leaks. The air conditioner has a big rubber seal underneath it, and it's kind of sandwiched down the roof. So as long as it's not leaking internally, the AC shouldn't be an issue. This one has the factory solar. They went ahead and sealed, probably at the dealer, went ahead and sealed the feet. I might look at that. And then you've got your collection for the solar input. And then you got your antenna up there. So there's some areas here that just need the once over. And this is a brand new trailer. So chances are, none of this stuff's going to leak. But it's a good idea to inspect it every year, and also, maybe even take it a step further and do the leak check, where we actually pressure test the trailer and then spray, soapy water on it and to see where it might bubble. But you should be able to do a visual on the roof. Anybody who's halfway competent should be able to see if there's a risk there of leakage, water intrusion.
Yeah. So really just getting up on the roof and peeking, taking a look around.
Yeah, getting up, not on the roof, but next to the roof. So if you do have to go on the roof, you'll see this. I'm trying to get this in here. This is a row of rivets that go over a rib. So you've got a rib here, and you have an exposed area there, and then you have another rib here. So I don't recommend walking on the trailer, but if you are up here, distribute your weight on these ribs so that you don't dent the roof, because by denting the roof, you could create a pocket someplace. Now water collects and finds its way in that normally wouldn't do that. So I try to do everything from a ladder. I think that's best. and you can see I'm not leaning the ladder on the trailer. I have a freestanding ladder next to it, so
Right.
there's no risk of damage to it.
Right.
All right.
And this poor guy got a.
I want to give a quick shout out to E, who just became a member and also
gave
us a nice super sticker.
Thank you so much, E. We appreciate that. Welcome to the LOLOHO family.
Yeah, E said he's been watching the videos for a while and wanted to give something back. We appreciate that very much.
Yeah. Another shout out to Jim Pratt for being our moderator and keeping out the trolls.
Yep. Jim says the trolls were pretty quiet tonight.
That's always good news.
Maybe the trolls like football.
They're watching the football game.
Haptic Garage says, I'm suffering from shop envy. You built an amazing shop, Vinnie.
Oh,
Vinnie does have an amazing shop.
Really does.
Really a beautiful place. I mean, the whole place is beautiful.
Yep.
We're pretty happy here.
Somebody, Andreas,
living the dream,
wants to know, how often should you replace the air conditioning seal?
Oh, well, probably it's going to serve the life of the air conditioning unit. I mean, it's a good seal. It doesn't get sun exposure. It's really quite sandwiched down. But on the newer units, these use a Dometic Penguin style air conditioner units. I don't think it's probably ever necessary unless you're fighting a leak.
Okay, good to know. Kenneth Tubman asked, is it true that the air conditioners will only cool the inside to a maximum of 20 degrees less than what the outside temperature is? So if it's 100 degrees outside, it'll only cool the inside to 80.
I don't think that's true.
What do you think, Vinnie?
We had I don't know if you remember our 30-foot classic with the slide out. I think you guys stayed at the beginning. And that had an air conditioner unit. And so probably it was not enough cooling for that size trailer. And we were in Las Vegas, and it was 107 at Circus parking lot, which was basically like
That's so funny you say that. I was thinking of the exact same place. That's the ultimate test. That's the ultimate test of an air conditioner.
It's like being in an oven.
Down to 82 inside, and it felt like heaven. We're just like, oh, this is so amazing, and it sucked. But that was the best it could do. But we were happy to have it.
It's because it's a black asphalt parking lot with no trees, no shade.
You're just baking out there in that sun.
So don't stay there.
You could definitely fry an egg on the roof of your Airstream there. One thing I remember, we really discovered the importance of awnings in that campground in that parking lot, because once we put our awning out, that really lowered the temperature a lot. And the RAC was able to keep up. Of course, maybe it was 80 degrees inside, and I was just like, oh, this feels so wonderful, you know?
But yeah, the awning made a huge difference.
HCE says, Vinnie is he's the GOAT. You're the GOAT, Vinnie.
Greatest of all time. Right there.
Always learning.
The original Airstream whisperer.
Yep.
Always learning.
But that's what makes you the Airstream whisperer, because you are always learning. And there are a lot of people that don't. They act like they know everything, even if they don't. And I think the great thing about Vinnie is he'll say, I don't know about that, but I'll do some research and find out for you. I think that's the sign of a really intelligent person. Somebody who's willing to say, I don't know, but I'll find out.
Okay.
I don't know, but I'll find out.
You're so smart.
Start saying that more often. I don't know, honey, but I'll find out. Have you taken out the garbage? I don't know, but I'll find out. I don't need to know everything. I know Vinnie. Vinnie knows everything.
That's right. And my dad.
Always take the garbage.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Goodness. We're probably going to wrap up, because I know some folks have some football to watch, and Vinnie's been very kind to
give us an hour and a half of his time this afternoon. We appreciate that so much. Several people want to know what model Airstream you don't like, which I don't think you're going to share. But some other people want to know what size.
2003 25-foot classic.
Yeah. What size is the most popular, and what has the best resale value?
Oh, well, I think, recently sold a 27-foot 2008. 2008's a good year. and that trailer probably sold for mid-50s around, and it's still fetching near that. I mean, they all have a great resale value right now. They really do, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have it inspected and make sure you know what you're getting, because are romanticizing Airstream right now, which is great because they are awesome. But you still need to be aware of how much you're spending and what it is you're actually buying.
Yeah. Good point. Classic
Amen.
Car Traveler is saying dirty words on our page.
He said roll tide, right?
Yeah, I said he's saying dirty words. I mean, no, thank you, Classic Car Traveler, for being a member. We appreciate that so much. Mach 5 for being a member. Viva SEC football.
We have some SEC football players. And David, thanks
you
for
so
the super
much.
chat.
And he wants you to ceramic coat his Airstream, Vinny.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
We'd be
I think you can't really get into Vinny for regular service right now, or he's booking out till June.
June, is that what you said?
But the ceramic, there's a whole team. There is a team of guys that do the ceramic.
Yeah, ceramic can be done here or in our Benicia location. The problem is if you want to bring it to me for ceramic and then you want to add Battleborns and solar, that's where I'm kind of booked a little solid. So it might be a 2-step process.
Okay, good to know.
We've gotten a couple of comments about our Amazon store. Like Ann said she would use our store, and E said E's a big Amazon shopper. Yes, if you go to amazon.com/shop/long honeymoon and start your shopping there.
Mm-hmm. You can also go to longhoneymoon.com, and we have a link for our store on our website as well if you want to make sure you're getting it correct. But you should see our faces on the storefront with like a little picture of our Airstream at the top. So that way you'll know that you're in the right place.
You know, when you were here at the shop, you showed me how to make it my homepage for Amazon.
Right.
To do that. And once you did, I mean, I buy all of my parts for that are Amazon type things. Sometimes you can get a better deal even what I can buy it from my wholesale supplier. Some liquidating their inventory or something like that. So we buy a lot of stuff through the shop, and it's so simple, and like it's the same price it would be Amazon. So if you guys can decide with it, that's great. But I needed you to show me how to make it my homepage.
Yeah.
Good. We'll do a video about that.
We need to do a standalone video about that. Thanks again for using it.
So somebody's been buying all those rivets. It must be you.
Yeah.
Who just bought 10,000
Thank you, Denise, for being a member and for Super Chat. We appreciate
Denise
that.
says she loves these chats. Thank you very much, Denise. Always nice to see you.
We enjoy these chats too because it's a great way for us to get to talk to you guys directly. You know, it's hard sometimes with messages because we get a lot of messages via YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and it's hard to get in there and type out a reply to everybody in a timely manner. So sometimes it's, several days or a week or two before we get back to people. But this way we can sort of give you an immediate shout out and quick question answer. So it's good for us too. So yeah,
surprisingly, like the live streams I find very relaxing and enjoyable and like you're energizing.
Yeah, for sure.
Edited videos drive me crazy.
Yeah. But Sean, I mean, I don't think people realize for every minute of finished video that you see on the screen, it's usually an hour of work that went into it. So if it's a 20-minute long video, there's been 20 hours of editing that's gone into that video. And that's for a more simple video. If it's a more complex video, it could be more than an hour per edited minute. So that's the
Dan. I wanted to give a shout out to Dan for the super chat much, and said he's waiting for their Bambi 16 to be delivered in April. They got the solar package with 90 watts. How long can that 12-volt fridge be expected to run?
Without an exterior power source?
Well, I guess it depends on what kind of batteries you got and what your...
It does. Yeah, it does. Now, when you think about the electric fridge, it's not like the old school ones. The new ones are misers on power. So they've got it figured out, but there's still a shelf life. So you just have to make sure that whatever battery consumption you're doing, that's your only source for the refrigerator. You got to be careful. So you'll learn.
Factory solar package, does it come with the nice lithium batteries, or is that something that you need to add later? Yeah.
Just have the standard interstate batteries, just the 12 volt.
Wow. It's just got, the lead acid on.
that battery, whatever it is, needs to carry you through the night. So all the lights are on and the music's going,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's going, and
You
the
don't realize
solar.
how much power you use until it's
Right.
gone.
All right. Well, Highwayman says, how old of an Airstream could I purchase before having to deal with more serious issues? Would say
It really
2020. I don't know. There's no way to predict it really, because I mean, I know, like as Christy said before, you might buy one that's a few years old where somebody's worked out all the bugs and all the kinks. Actually, if I was buying an Airstream right now, I would call Vinnie
and ask if he's got
see what
used
Vinnie
one.
has that he's selling, because Vinnie goes through all the trailers that he sells
with a fine-tooth comb.
And so you'll know that, you know, an expert has really looked at the trailer, checked it out, and fixed whatever needed to be fixed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, they kind of all have issues.
They pop up, but you know, we try to know the trailer. Typically a client's trailer that, you know, if they're not having any trouble with it, then that's a good one. And yeah, we do go through it. But right now, you know, I mean, just have it inspected. Whatever you buy, private party, whatever, just have it inspected. And I know you feel like you got to be first in line to get it, or you're going to lose it. But you know, sometimes you can reach out on Airforms, and there might be somebody who owns one that could go with you and maybe catch something that you might otherwise miss.
I think that's a good idea. Extra set of eyes is always helpful.
I want to tell Scott we will probably be in Florida in the next month or so. So we'll be posting more about that. Mark asked if we've ever been in fear of strange people in Walmart parking lots. Haven't you learned, Mark, I am the strange person in the Walmart parking lot. They fear me. Right.
I have to ask, is this Mark Latham, the yoga instructor?
I am the one who knocks.
Because we know a Mark Latham that's a yoga instructor. So I'm just curious if it's the same Mark Latham. If it is, hi. If not, it's still hi. And we've only had one time that we've been in a Walmart, actually two, where we left because we were uncomfortable because of the people around us. One time was in Las Vegas, and there was just a plethora of
note to self: do
characters.
not boondock in the city limits of Las Vegas. That's just Walmart. A bad idea.
And another time there was a lady who was kind of just having like a meltdown in the parking lot. Like, I don't know, something was going on with her. So we just hightailed it out of there. But really, it's only been those two times in 14 years that we've left. And
we do carry protection. We have a 3.6 pound attack Chihuahua. I mean, baby girl. You've seen her. She's vicious.
Very ferocious.
Yeah.
If I have to unleash the pocket wolf, you are in trouble, my friend.
If I'm so uncomfortable that I feel like I need protection, I'm not staying in that Walmart. I'm moving on.
Oh, we do carry something and something else that we might talk about at some point. So
we're prepared. That's all we're going to say about that.
All right. We're probably going to wrap up, I think, because football is going to kick off pretty soon. We want to thank Vinnie for joining us tonight and answering all these questions.
Thank you so much, Vinnie. Thanks to Cindy for loaning you out to us for a couple hours.
And thanks to everyone who joined in and left great comments and asked questions.
Yes.
And supported the channel. And especially thanks to Jim Pratt for
being our moderator. We appreciate that so much, Jim. We hope you're staying warm up there in cold Canada.
So we'll be back next week with another Long Honeymoon video. And we hope that Vinnie will join us again at some point in the not too distant future. We would like to do these chats more often.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting the technology worked out. It was pretty smooth tonight.
Yeah, worked out well.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, you guys. We appreciate it so much. If you haven't yet clicked that subscribe button down below, please do so. We appreciate it so much if you join LOLOHO Nation. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family. And until next time, what do we say?
LOLOHO, guys. Thank you guys, as always.
Guys.
Thanks, Vinnie. Good night, and roll tide to all.